This is what we're making, a hollow bangle. Our 13 mil wide strip makes a 5 millimeter round bangle, and this weighs less than 18 grams. If you were to use 5 millimeter solid wire, it would be around 30 grams. So this is a very cost-effective way of making a nice bangle. Very small seam on the outside. This starts the same as making any bangle. You need to find a bangle or use a bangle sizer that will just fit over your hand. It wants to be a bit of a push, comfortable when it's on. Measure the diameter. Add the thickness of the metal and multiply by 3.14. So this is 13 mil wide, 0.6 thick, and I've done my math for mine, and it's 210 millimeters long. When you cut this, if you use shears, you're going to have to file it back. If you use a saw, you're probably going to have to file it back anyway, so just cut it. Make sure that it's nice and flat on both ends. You can measure it against the size of the side of your file. And bend it into a rough oval. If it's annealed, you should be able to bend it fairly easily with just your fingers. If it isn't, bring it up to a dull red, quench it, pickle it, and then form it. And what you want are these ends to touch perfectly, and you want tension holding them together. I'm just resting my third hand on my bangle with this down, with the join down. It will keep it lined up. So flux 4 pieces of hard solder. Place the solder with your flux brush. That way it'll be fluxed like the join. Just run the heat on and off the join until your flux dries out. Once the flux dries, you can push your solder in place using your solder pick. Then just circle the join. The flux will go clear and the solder will flow. Both sides of the metal need to be the same temperature. Otherwise the solder will jump to the hottest side. This has been soldered. It's fully annealed now, so put it on your bracelet mandrel. Round it up with a rawhide hammer. When it's round, flip it over and do it again so you don't end up with a taper. Now we have our bangle round. Don't worry about it being perfectly round. Sand this join with your sanding stick. Just follow the curve of the bangle, and when it's done you shouldn't be able to see the join. Now at this point we're going to go opposite the join and hallmark this right on the inside, and the reason we're hallmarking it now is from this point on we won't have a chance. So now we're going to start forming it. We're going to start forming this just like a regular anti-clastic bangle. I'm using a French jeweler's hammer, and it's because I want a thin wedge on this. So we're just going to hit it right in the middle and work our way all the way around. When you've gone all the way around, keep working. You'll be able to hear it when it hits the bottom of the curve, and that's what we want. And at that point, we'll anneal it again and go to the smaller curve. So now I've hammered down to the bottom of the small curve. What I'm going to do is just shift this up a little bit so that when I hammer here, it'll roll the edges up a little bit more. Do both sides. So this is our shape. At this point it's just a regular anti-clastic bangle. So now we need to round it up. I'll show you how. So go back on your bracelet mandrel and push the bangle down as far as you can and hit with your wedge shape hammer just in the middle. You should hear when it comes down and hits the mandrel. Go all the way around. So now it's round, and we'll anneal it again and finish forming it. This is annealed, and I'm just placing it flat on a bench block. You can use an anvil. I'm using my French jeweler's hammer. You can use a planishing hammer. It's really no different. This is just a little bit smaller hammer. So you're just going to tap on the edge, work your way around. And this is going to start curving this edge down. So go all the way around on this edge, turn it over, and do the other edge. And you should have a fairly aggressive U. Then we'll anneal it and do it again to start closing it in. You can see now that I've got a nice tight U. And I'm going to anneal it again, and then we'll roll these edges on over so that they touch, or almost touch. The piece is annealed. Now we're going to go back on our bracelet mandrel, and we're still using our jeweler's hammer, and we're just going to tap the edge, tap the other edge, work back and forth, and then tap it in the middle, and you can see how it's just closed right up. So be fairly gentle, go all the way around, take your time. So I've gone all the way around, formed the edges over, and just tapped them until they closed. Now you could at this point solder this and finish it so that it's completely smooth hollow bangle. I don't mind that seam, and for me now I'm just going to pickle this and polish it, and we'll be done.